included with Twitch Prime. Rated T for teen.
The Force has awakened for Lag F. They are 2-0 over Gale Force Esports, and I know they would be thrilled to get a 3-0 victory over Gale Force in an absolutely necessary series for them to stay out of the Crucible.
Yeah, of course. That's the dream. I mean, they're on the road to hitting that 3-0 right now. They had a beautifully played game, you know, on Battlefield of Eternity. They show they can play the short maps or the bigger maps where they have to split, and they can make it work in either scenario.
Yeah, Dragonshire and Battlefield of Eternity were both their choices of battlegrounds, but dealt really well with everything that Gale Force Esports brought to the table on both. Let's see where Game 3 will take place. We can start figuring out what is going to happen in the draft for these teams. Lag Force is going to take us to Towers of Doom. Gale Force is going to stick with a first pick that's very consistent with everything they do whenever Braxis isn't available. If Braxis is up, they'll give up first pick all day to take us to Braxis, but otherwise, they want that first pick.
It's all green and beautiful.
This is my favorite
awesome.
one.
A lot of fell energy going on around here. But I think if there's any map that Lag Force wants to play, this map really scares me. Like, Lag Force is going to be amazing on Towers of Doom.
Talk to me why.
Well, I mean, like, they've been executing perfect kill comps all day, and they're showing, like, this new level of aggression that is something that I really respect. I haven't seen this very much lately with the prevalence of double support. You know, a lot of the team fights are a lot slower, a lot more patient. It's more just about, like, who uses the big cooldowns the most efficiently. But now it's like, find a target, go, get the kill, connect, reset, get another kill. And Lag Force is making that work with these, like, double assassin comps. I mean,
yes.
Last game, you know, we were focusing a lot on iDream. iDream had put out a lot of damage on the Genji and was finding the right opportunities to go in. But Biggie on Li Ming did 85,000 damage. We were just looking at the numbers from that game. It was like, what? He's so, like, in the background. You know, he wasn't making the highlight plays, but just putting the consistent damage out there the whole time.
Yeah, he was always hitting. And you could kind of see that it was going to be the case. I think the first Immortal phase, Biggie had a time when he shot out all of his magic missiles and all 3 hit Emerden as he was running back. It's like, okay, that's pre-Fireflies. Yeah. I'm concerned when all 3 are hitting before 16.
Exactly.
But he did. He was putting in the damage. He was just very consistently either poking out the Immortal or making sure to land to get resets. They were really enabling each other to be able to get those resets. And I would say maybe Gale Force now has to think of like a Genji respect ban. This is Towers of Doom. Genji can do a lot on towers.
That's very true. I mean, that's the perfect map for Genji to dance around and find those angles to isolate people. But if they ban out the Genji, we're not going to be able to see another mirror draft the way we've been seeing it before. It's been strangest drafts coming out from Gale Force's side when it comes to those first bans, like Garrosh and then Abathur. I guess Genji wouldn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, but then if they do Genji, then they have to deal with an Abathur. But even still, it's not a Genji Abathur, and it seems like at this point, Gale Force is having a really tough time dealing with the team fighting aspects, these kill compositions, as you're calling them, from Lag Force. So maybe it is better to try to encourage Lag Force to go another route. Hey, do you want to go back to your Zagara Abathur? Yeah. Because we've had enough of this kind of comp. We can't deal with this.
I guarantee you they're thinking exactly that. It's a good point. They don't want to deal with these kill comps anymore. But, you know, it makes me smile a little bit, Gilly, that I'm seeing all these they were rivals of mine, but the boys from very, very old school C9 and Zuna, you know, I feel like it's a perfect storm of aggression with these different player personalities that if they can come together and consistently pull this off, I feel like they could kind of carve out the new meta for NA.
Yeah, Lag Force figuring things out here versus Gale Force, even as Gale Force is running what seems to be more of the developing meta, right? This double support. Lag Force has found answers for it in a way that, yeah, they're not going to deal with that snooze fest.
That's BM. I know a lot of people like the double supports and everything.
I'm right there with you. ZZZ all day.
But it's fun to watch these comps just go in and get the kill. So, yeah, Gale Force is like, you know what? We're done with that. Genji is not allowed this game. Sorry. Genji banned.
Genji is out. What do Lag Force ban? Tassadar has been a consistent ban as an idea of Task Tracer, but now there's a lot of things up that still would be really nice, right? Abathur on Towers of Doom, provided you can make sure not to lose out too early or make the great comeback the way that we saw in the last series. Maybe they want to see if they can let Tassadar through so they get something like a Task Tracer. Lag Force has been loving Task Tracer.
Yeah, they're studying the Abathur here as a potential ban, which would, force Gale Force to be a little bit more on the field with them rather than be able to play that slower macro game. So I think that works. They could ban out ETC here as well, just eliminate that extremely versatile tank right off the bat. I think it's very likely Gale Force will pick Uther here to start things off, as they've shown.
What makes you say that?
Well, two in a row, fool me twice. Shame on me. They're going to go Uther. That's not Gale Force.
He's back up.
Just keep your pattern going for the sake of me being right.
KO patterns are made to be broken, says Gale Force. They get tasks. And now Lag Force has to be scared of what tasks might be enabling for Gale Force. Gale Force has Michael Udall. They would love to play some Illidan, or potentially a task tracer for, I think that would be Fan.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that being the case here. Lag Force, with their 2 picks up, definitely going to be ETC. I think that plays into their style so well lately.
Yes.
That they're certainly going to go that route. But as the other pick, that's where there's a little bit of a question mark.
What could help Lag Force execute in the same way as ETC Genji? Oh, they're just going to make sure they get to Haka. They have the follow-up drag. They'll figure out the damage later on.
Can't go wrong with the Dahaka.
Yes.
Complements this map very nicely. So,
especially with that Abathur ban too, trying to control the globals somewhat.
Although it does feel very good when you have a Dahaka and you're against an Abathur and they're trying to be a little bit aggressive with their soak and you just burrow right up next to them and they're like, hands up.
Slapping you?
Yeah.
I'm not going down without a fight at least. Running away and trying to tunnel. Next 2 picks for Gale Force. Something to go along with this Tassadar.
Dahaka right there at the 50% win rate as well. It's interesting to see.
And one of the highest picked heroes. So that's a lot of data been gathered on the 50% win rate.
Yeah, exactly. And it just gives more value to that data. I mean, Dahaka works in so many different situations. Sustainy, great at frontlining. Typically, you don't want him to be your only tank, but sometimes that can be the case if you needed to. Oh, yes.
And there we see what goes with Tassadar. Both of these picks, Vala, Tassadar, Illidan for more lifesteal. Now we have a hero with, once he gets to 10, Illidan can give or have the hunt as a way of global to keep up with Dahaka.
All I can say is I hope Gale Force gets a cleanse because Illidan's going to have a real tough time. It's going to be, I think, similar to the struggle that Equinox had when he was trying to play Illidan versus, that composition that had all those stuns. Right now, I don't see for Gale Force Esports Illidan being able to be very comfortable engaging into an ETC Dahaka composition. It's too much punish.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Lag Force can take advantage of that. They might be able to ban a support here and then get a support of their own to limit. But in having Tassadar, at least Gale Force has that buffer of the shielding that Tassadar will be able to give, even if they get forced into a not as ideal support.
Certainly could be the case. Rhaegar is looking like he's going to be the ban, making sure, very smart ban, I think. Take that away right away. The Ancestral would have been key for saving the Illidan as well as getting all that extra damage from the Lightning Shield being put on him as a diver. So getting rid of him was a very good decision for Lag Force. Now Gale Force. Man, all of these forces coming together to create these great games. It's beautiful.
Who is the Force stronger with, though? So far, it's been the Lag.
Yeah, so far. See if Gale Force can turn things around, though. It's still possible. They're definitely, like we were talking about it in Game 1, they're showing that they can make these team fights work. But they just can't quite beat the composition. That's kind of what it feels like.
Might come down to this ban. It's weird to see Lag Force ban a support when they don't have a support, and I think Gale Force is like, what can we do here? Well, they're going to ban Cassia as blinds for Illidan. Arthas maybe would have been another one, but they already have ETC and Dahaka. No Cassia, though. Are you so sad?
I'm super sad because I was telling Gilly about this earlier. I've been playing a ton of Cassia lately on Hero League. I will say I'm on a 6-game win streak currently. But yeah, Cassia is kind of underrated at the moment, and I'm surprised they even banned it because I never see anybody pick it, really. It's like picked like once a weekend, maybe.
Yeah, it is the... We have to counter Illidan somehow, and we can't pick Arthas here, so we're going to bust out the random and niche Cassia as a way of blinding to deal with Illidan. So that won't be available, but Ariel Uther... Ooh.
More lockdown for the Illidan.
Black Force is now playing the double support.
Oh, yeah. Turning things around. I'm not that surprised, though.
They keep Ariel out of the hands of Vala. They have a Rhaegar, so they take 2 supports. Now leaving Gale Force in a very limited hero pool for Akaface.
You know, I think it does make sense, and like double support is always going to have its place, right? It's got its strengths in the fact that in a longer brawling team fight, you're eventually going to like win the fight because you have more resources, more mana, more healing power, and people just aren't going to get kills. So for this Illidan, who's going to constantly get locked down by the Dahaka, ETC, Ariel, and Uther, all of those stuns, controlling him constantly, and plenty of heals to back it up, all Black Force has to do here is get a really good sustained damage, and they're going to win the draft.
So what would you like to see there? Lunara? It's not going to be Cassia.
Lunara would be fantastic.
We'll
I think that's a heads-up pick.
Lucio, Anubarak. Lucio's the choice. Nope.
Sometimes when I see that Lucio skin, I think it's a Dahaka because of those little dots on the top of his helmet. But okay, I can get behind this. Lucio and Anubarak here. So now they at least have somebody to stun and interrupt everybody a little bit. They're not going to be completely reliant on Illidan just surviving on his own, but that's still very light in the stun department.
At least Lucio has Tassadar's help for the early game. He doesn't have a cleanse, but he can speed away somebody after.
Yeah.
Lunara was the most likely choice with Vala being gone, Cassia also being banned. Lunara will be providing her poisons to the team. It is a little bit scary looking at the 2 warriors of Black Force. We don't have an Arthas to supplement in damage along with the double warrior, double support, but maybe something like an isolation from a Dahaka as a way of catching Illidan when he's too far forward and then a leaping strike to get a kill.
Yeah, I think that definitely could work. I mean, it's funny that you called the Lunara. It fits in so perfectly here, and it certainly is the right answer, but Lucio is going to definitely be putting out good numbers to keep everybody healed up from that spread damage.
Yes.
We might actually see Lunara go for the single target rather than the splintered spears.
Oh, okay.
I think that would make sense. I mean, because you need to be dishing more damage out onto one target. Makes Lucio's life a lot harder than just healing up a bunch of people a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder how far down you would go then. Is something like a giant killer possible if maybe a Nubarak is there? Actually, let's get in the game and then we can postulate more about Lunara. We've got game 3 with Black Force sitting at 2-0 for Gale Force. Let's see if they close out the series right here, right now.
On the blue side, on the left is going to be Black Force. Zuna on ETC. Big impact on Lunara. Tomster on Uther. B-Kid on Dahaka. And I Dream the Angelic Ariel.
For Gale Force Esports, we've got Michael Udall playing Illidan Fan on Vala. Anubarak played by King Caffeine. K1 Pro playing Tassadar. And Lucio played by Akaface.
All right. Going out onto the map, what we were talking about with the Lunara. That single target may be an option and a route that they want to explore as a way to put a little bit more pressure on this Lucio and not make his life super easy where he can just heal up a bunch of targets at once. Meanwhile, on the other side, though, Vala and Tassadar, where Tassadar is going the Storm build.
Yeah, Scion Fusion again will give a lot more of some area damage, increasing the size Storm, and then eventually the damage. Did I say damage twice? Area and damage at some point for Tassadar.
The damage and then more damage.
Yes, all the damage. But Akaface and Fan are going to try to keep up what we have seen Gale Force do with these early Vala comps. Get some early structural damage, try to take down the towers, give them some more experience, also set things up better for sappers later on to try to take down the bell towers.
I feel like Lag Force has just set themselves up so well with this draft to deal with Illidan that more than anything, this game comes down to Fan being an absolute all-star and the amount of damage that he puts out onto Lag Force. It's going to be really, really challenging for Illidan to accomplish anything. Michael Udall is going to be spending most of his resources surviving. Oh, that was a good move there. He uses the sweeping to get out of there, at least for the moment, and no follow-up stun. If he would have hesitated and that power slide connected, I think he would have been dead.
Especially because he used evasion to soak up tower shots. That was frightening for a moment for Illidan.
It's not Michael Udall aggression.
Oh, yes. We've got the first altar phase activating in 30 seconds. It is the first of 2 triple altar phases. And like clockwork, teams start heading toward the sappers on their respective sides. Lag Force gets there first. With the global in favor of Lag Force, they'll have the Dahaka up in the top, and with 2 members of Illidan and Tastar up there getting the sappers in the top lane instead of in the bottom. I'm wondering if Gale Force is going to try to just contest both of the top altars instead of trying to give Lag Force the global advantage with their Dahaka. It looks like yes.
Akaface has got to be careful hanging out down here. So one altar picked up there at bottom, while the defensive Gale Force altar is picked up. But now, Lag Force should be able to get the second altar because of the positioning here. Very easy to secure this. So Lag Force with a little bit better rotations there and shot calling as to how they wanted to handle that.
Yeah, B-Kid staying safe, understanding that a lot of people were off the map and that it was very likely that Gale Force tried to switch things up because Lag Force were the ones with the global. Recognized, got back. Nobody was in position really from Gale Force to try to get that altar, but now they're in position to get first blood as they take down iDream.
Beautiful body blocking there. One of the more underestimated skill sets that these players have, and especially on a noob rec, when these characters that have the large bodies, you can really, really slow somebody down and completely halt their escape in lane without even using any CCs.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of body blocking work out for Zuna in the past, but now it's Gale Force getting a lot out of it with the new Barak in his positioning. Can use his burrow charges to get into those good spots. I was looking at Unbound. It is a talent that we see every once in a while from teams in North America, but you don't get friend or foe because of this. You lose friend or foe, but instead you get to get a second charge of Sweeping Strike once you hit enough heroes, and importantly, you could use it to go over terrain. So a lot more mobility, almost like a Genji of sorts for Michael Udall's Illidan.
This is one of the maps that really makes sense for that, though, because when you're rotating through those center lanes, hold on a second, King Cap in a lot of trouble here. Michael Udall does Sweeping Strike over the wall there into the fight. Surprising Lag F. And as for the moment, looks like GFE is winning this fight, looking for the re-engage. Michael Udall, here comes all that big CC. Let's see if it's enough to secure the kill. The stun comes out, Hammer of Justice. The Michael Udall dot not going to finish him off thanks to K1 and Akaface. And now, Fan still on the chase, dishing out a little bit more damage, trying to defend these pumpkins. Gale Force scurries off onto the rest of the map, though, as they're going to get in position for these 2 altars.
So that is the example of my concern of having enough damage for Lag Force. And of course, Lunara, her poison skill great later on, and maybe that'll be what is able to cut through a Tastar and Lucio, but Lucio, Rejuvenescency at 16, gets a lot more healing. So I'm wondering if maybe there's a middle point, but at least Lag Force is continuing to keep up with Gale Force in the core health and the altars, even though they're starting to fall behind in experience because of the rotations of Gale Force and because of the structural damage they've done in bottom.
So Lunara still did go for Splintered Spear, contrary to when we were kind of theory crafting about. That's going to mean that less damage for securing kills and furthering our fear that they won't have enough damage to actually finish anybody off. It's going to be tough.
It's got to be Divine Storm, right? They get Divine Storm, and then Illidan is the target, but then maybe instead of the hunt, Illidan moves into a Metamorphosis, so he has kind of an escape out of that.
Second time we see Metamorphosis today. If that's the case, that would be pretty cool. And yeah, I think you may be right. I would definitely say Divine Storm is the go-to here when they're trying to counter this Illidan, lock him down, because Illidan's pretty easy to finish off if you have him in a stun already.
Yeah, no room to try to hit evasion. There's so many stun locks. Isolation can even help with that too for Dahaka, the silence giving enough time. But Gale Force are really starting to run away with this game, so some sort of adjustment needs to come in for Lag Force. Even though they're keeping up with the core and they're even ahead in core, these amount of damage that Gale Force is doing structurally with Illidan in the top and the way they've been rotating around, it's just, you can already see that they're climbing ahead in this game.
Yeah, they are starting to get a decent enough of EXP lead where it's starting to raise some eyebrows, but I mean, overall, they got a little bit caught off guard with some of the previous fights. I mean, their positioning around the map has been slightly superior, which is why they're ahead in shots at the moment. But when it comes to the actual fighting, they didn't anticipate, I think, Illidan coming over the wall like that.
Yeah, welcome to Unbound.
Yes.
Now they know that it's there.
The land of the Unbound is upon us.
It was so nice of Michael Udall to immediately show us an example of what that talent can do after we were talking about it.
Good
Thanks,
guy,
Mike.
Michael Udall.
We've got the next altar activating without heroic abilities. This is a sticky situation for Lag Force. They're going to lose this bottom bell tower, which gives even more shots to these altars, and Lag Force does not have Tin to contest against them.
Yeah, Gale Force just gets brave there and goes straight for the 4 with level 10, and it's going to pay off. Might be able to get a 5-shotter here, at least in mid. And bottom, potentially, this could be 10 shots, Gilly. Yeah. That was a really nice force wall. Where's the interrupt?
Great force wall. No, force wall on one side, Tassadar all by himself, and then the rest of the team zoning 10 shots. An immediate reversal of this game. And just as LagForce were about to get heroics, there is some back and forth again that we see between Vala and ETC as to what heroics are going to be there, but isolation should help in dealing with the Illidan, as should Divine Storm.
I think most people consider the fact that why would you go unbound when you can just get dives over the wall, right? Because you can get on your target. But it's that mobility of getting away from a situation that's really nice. Just being able to jump out when he's in those critical moments of being low. Let Vala take over for a while and doing the damage. Then he can wrap back around, start getting hit by that Rejuvenescencia, and come back into the fight.
All right, you're 1 for 1 on Rejuvenescencia.
I'm never trying that again. My
believe
feelings
in you,
are
KO.
damaged.
No! We've done the worst. We've hurt KO's feelings. I'm sorry. I apologize. You know whose feelings are probably hurt right now? LagForce. Things are not going as well as they would like in their potential Game 3. Still sitting a level behind Galeforce. And Galeforce is not letting them take... All they want is their bell tower back, KO. That's all they want.
It's a lot to ask. Those bell towers are really valuable.
That is true.
B-Kid pushing up here at top lane. He's got the burrow ready to go if he needs it. And he probably is going to need it soon. Illidan with the hunt. He's got his flight plan figured out already.
LagForce just can't get this altar back, or even if they do, or the bell tower back. Even if they do, they would be giving up the altar, and that's not really what they want to be doing either. They want to fight at this point. This is their time to fight. Zuna finds King Caffeine. Dahaka is going to stalk in. That is a very aggressive position, maybe thinking that the rest of LagForce were going to be joining him and chasing down Galeforce, but LagForce just wants to focus on this altar and making sure that they're fighting before they lose control of this game.
The team fight begins. Position. Looking for from both teams. Michael Udall kind of off in his own world over there, just pushing in a couple more waves. Level 13 acquired. Now we're going to see Galeforce look for the engage.
There's a cocoon from Galeforce, easily dealt with. The hunt comes in. It is on Big Impact. Does not have Leaping Strike if that kind of situation happens, but here's what we've been waiting to see. Isolation. Sound Barrier immediately keeps Michael Udall safe, despite everyone focusing on top of Michael Udall. Now it's the double support versus double support.
Unbelievable. Backed into a corner like this. Look at that aerial healing coming out. I mean, the sound barrier was enough to keep Michael Udall alive through the massive amount of CC. But now who's going to re-engage? I mean, iDream and the rest of LagF are completely contained down here.
The good thing for LagF is that they forced sound barrier and they only used isolation. They still have Divine Storm to deal with, and Thompson's moving into position. He got the drag.
Oh my goodness, Michael Udall jumped out at the last second there. Stay alive.
Mosh.
Zuna says hello with the Mosh. Where's the D-Storm going to be?
There's a Crystal Aegis keeping Zuna alive. Michael Udall once again goes back for Big Impact. We still haven't had the Divine Storm, and ETC has fallen.
This is going to be a close one.
iDream.
LagForce falling hard now. As Galeforce plays that fight really brilliantly. They almost set up like the StarCraft base contained, you know? They just kind of like moved out and was like, well, you can't do anything now and you can never leave your base, so good luck with that.
Yeah, the dealing with ETC was great from Galeforce. Rain of Vengeance kept for that to stop Mosh Pit and then doing a lot of damage to him. And then even though it's a double support composition, there wasn't a Divine Shield, so once Crystal Aegis came out, the big supporting heroic slowing things down, it really just isn't a burst heal like an ancestral healing. Finally, Galeforce were able to do what we were worried that they wouldn't be able to do, which is keep up with the double supporting. But I still think a lot of that comes down to the damage for LagForce. They have a lot of ways of dealing with an Illidan, but so far we have yet to see a way for them to actually get a kill, and there's no Leaping Strike. It's Thornwood Vine. It's all about the spread damage, which is fine for Galeforce right now.
Not when you get backed into a corner, though. That's the problem for LagF. And I really would have liked to see the single target for Lunara, but regardless, maybe in the late game they're looking for that super high ramp-up damage. Once you get the Splintered Spear with the extreme range, and it just like guaranteed pokes everyone, that's pretty crazy. For now, Galeforce in the driver's seat. Definitely has got to be feeling comfortable right now, but it could all change with one good Mosh from Zuna.
Against the Mosh, there is a lot of stuns, so the patience from Zuna has to be there. We've seen it before. Lagav, catch Fan.
Oh my
That's the
goodness.
perfect person. They were waiting for that, but they still can't kill him. They still can't kill Fan.
The saves are just incredible for this GFE composition. The shield, the sound barrier, so much extra health there, stopping the damage, even though Zuna did find the perfect moment to power slide then in onto Fan. Now Gale Force Esports is going to run away with this game, Gilly. 3 altars spawning. They're in full control of the map. They have an extra bell tower. They just turned that fight and got a reverse kill. The world is their oyster.
If they get all 3 of these altars positioned correctly with the 16-13 advantage, they are going to have Lag Force's core at 2 health.
That's incredible. So many shots.
Especially where Lag Force had the early advantage in this game. But Gale Force Esports have, I guess, had a little bit of mercy on Lag Force. I say that, K1 Pro gets in there and gets a Psy Storm to stop Tomster from channeling.
K1 Pro well versed on how to be an effective interrupter from all of the days of the C9 delay comps with Murky. And now they've bought themselves enough time for the rest of Gale Force to rotate up to the top. Lag Force is in big trouble.
Kind of using the Force Bolt to their advantage. They catch a Tassadar, and
Wow.
nobody's in position yet to save that Tassadar. So Lag Force will get their first kill of the game, 13 minutes and 30 seconds in, and turn their attention toward the boss.
Lag Force is just bursting on this boss. They have an opportunity here to get momentum, and they don't miss a beat. They just go straight in. No Lucio, pun intended. Gale Force is going to split off on the rest of the map here. Just get some camps, and they still have the lead.
But bot KO.
Yeah.
Bot's pretty scary. I mean, Lag Force have to do everything they can to get back in here, but no one's in position yet to stop these sappers.
One already went in. Ooh, nice stun. Zuna shows up in time. Have they learned their lesson yet on going on Fan? Are they going to get the kill this time? It was interrupted on the sound barrier there. Zuna doing the best that he can, but the punishment from that cocoon. Oh no, Michael Udall landed in the no man's land.
Oh, sound barrier
is back up just in time to get the save. And just back and forth. So many close calls there on Fan. You know, but he's trusting in his team. He's trusting in those saves. And it's working out well. iDream's got a full Hope Bar, though. He uses it immediately, and the team is stacking. It's exactly what Lagaf needs to do right now, is stack on top of this Ariel and get that huge healing.
The burrow charge was awesome to counter. Every time it seems like Lag Force would like to do what has worked for them in the past couple of games, which is execute immediately upon Zuna going in. It's just not working out the same in this game. Part of that is lesser damage. Part of that is the great saves from Gale Force, be it a sound barrier or a counter burrow in from King Caffeine to get some time for Lag Force to escape. But Lag Force almost have 16 now. They have to be ready to fight over this altar. They're at 5 core health. They want to at least make it.
If they make any mistakes here, Gale Force is going to put the final nail in the coffin.
They just
so
cannot.
Have to be careful.
They can't get that bell tower back.
Oh, look at this positioning though. Zuna trapped in against the wall. Calf with the follow-up. Now Michael with the follow-up. But honestly, despite all of those stuns, they don't get a kill. And they missed a little bit of a window there with Cocoon. Now Lag F regrouping, getting that healing out. They're going to be feeling okay.
They are sort of separate because they know that they have to keep track of this altar, but they also really want to fight if they can. B-Kid starts to go in again. Full Hope Bar for iDream if they need it for the heal. Power Slide connects before Sound Barrier can save Illidan, the Divine Storm. This time it works. This time Lag Force take out Michael Udall.
And you know Akaface was visualizing that Sound Barrier. He knew that was his job to hit that Sound Barrier and save Illidan, but he wasn't able to make it happen there. Just a couple milliseconds too late on that one, or Michael Udall probably could have turned around that fight.
Still a lot of delay for Gale Force Esports. Mike will be back in 25 seconds. But finally, Lag Force zones all of Gale Force away. Maybe they can actually take back the bottom bell tower that has been converted to red for a very long time.
It's an interesting part of the way that this game is playing out. The fact that Lucio has to hit that sound barrier at just the right time. It's a very tricky timing to get the the huge burst shield right when you need it and not get baited using it too early because it's such a crucial cooldown. So as soon as Zuna goes in with that power side, I feel like he's got to drop it right away. He can't even wait for the follow-up, because as we saw there, if the follow-up starts, they're going to get the kill.
Yeah, and the follow-up is going to be there for Lag Force. That is what has been working for them this entire series, is immediate follow-up after Zuna. So making sure they have the sound barrier, and other sound barriers have been instrumental in keeping Gale Force alive. It was just that one that was so close, with Tomster right in position to capitalize on Zuna catching Michael Udall.
This has been a pretty incredible game. Like, LagF was so far behind. I mean, I made a big bet on them losing there at one point this game, but now they find themselves making it pretty close here. Just a level down a couple structures, but can they get that 20 to really even up this game and make it a close one again?
Yeah, the map has been an issue for Lag Force with the composition they have. Gale Force has been pulling them apart, spreading apart, and Illidan has been doing a lot up in the top, while Gale Force for a long time had that bottom. There's going to be B-Kid stalking in, Cocoon used, and Cocoon done. Zuna there, Rain of Vengeance follow-up. Sound Barrier used pretty early on, but Zuna's in trouble.
Zuna trying to navigate his way out of that force wall. There's the Crystal Aegis keeping him alive. The follow-up heal just isn't fast enough. Fan with the exact follow-up he needed. But that is going to be one down for each team. Oh my goodness. Biggie just taking so much damage from Psionic Storm. Barely kites out. Akaface comes in for the sound wave. Can barely get it off. Tomster's going to fall there, but that's just going to put him in spirit form for some extra healing. He doesn't have 20 yet, so we're not going to see that res. Very even fight going on so far. But the death timers are going to be in favor of Gale Force, so they're going to be up just a little bit sooner.
KO, I thought it was the end when ETC went down. Illidan died too, but the peels, while Anubarak was just following suit to catch the members of Lag Force as they retreated, but iDream's Detainment Strike was so good. Now Akaface has been caught.
Oh no, this is a... Okay.
Whoa.
They got the conversion. I was going to say it was a disaster, but maybe it's just like a minor issue. Oh.
There's no hope. There's no hope.
Fan the God gets the last auto. Oh, no way. Dude, this is the... Oh my goodness, Fan!
The B-steps come out from Fan.
The pop-off is real right now. That was beautiful. Finishing off 2 bonus kills there thanks to purely good mechanics and just knowing exactly how to play that situation.
Gale Force are willing to take the risk that they can take out a bell tower and get the altar, especially now that Fan just popped off and got those 2 kills. Michael Udall goes in. Zuna trying to stop him as best he can, but there's no supporting here other than Uther just showing up. This is an ETC and an Uther taking on the world. Cocoon catches Uther, Zuna trying to break him out, and all this time Michael Udall's been channeling at the altar. They have done it.
5 shots remaining and 5 shots go into the core. That is going to be game. And, you know, I think it's safe to say that Fan almost single-handedly got that winning play there at the end.
Yeah.
That was just a Fan show right there at the end. He just took the dually crossbows, went in, 2 kills, just like that, bang, bang, finished it off.
Yeah, Gale Force otherwise probably couldn't have been comfortable getting that bell tower, and that is the difference between the 1 health on the core, giving more time for Lag Force to start getting back into the game, winning some team fights. But I do have to say, I mean, I feel like we called it out pretty well in the drafting. The damage was difficult for Lag Force to actually execute on kills when they had everything in concert perfectly. It was concerted effort for them. Yeah, they got that 1 kill on Illidan or a couple kills here and there on Fan. But otherwise, it was really difficult for them to be able to keep up in the fights.
Yeah, you know, Akaface has to be sweating on his palms after that game. Like, his sound barriers were the key element to keep Michael Udall alive in those situations. And we saw the hiccup that one time. He wasn't able to get the heal and the clutch in time, but on all the rest of them, he was able to drop that big shield, save his team, enable them to actually clean up in the fight. Then, like we were saying, LagF just kind of faltered without having the damage to finish off targets most of the time.
Yeah, the Genji ban seemed to work out really well.
That's true.
Versus Lag Force, that immediately they went into more of a double support, the kind of style that Gale Force had been running in the last 2 games. So maybe it was the Genji ban, finally Gale Force figuring out what the crux of compositions were for the kill comps of